everyone doing? Looking alive and well. As you're coming into this chat, I would like you to fill out the poll question as usual, as soon as possible. What is the hardest part of building self control?
Okay, for this one, Bryson, so far we still have a couple of students who haven't answered the poll, so maybe I could just do a very quick reminder. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, so everyone, just wanted to remind you guys, please turn on your cameras during the workshop. If you are facing any technical issues or if you're doing anything else during the workshop, please do let YC staff Chris know, just so she could take note of that one as well. And also make sure that you are visible in the camera. If there are some issues that you're encountering, just let her know. And also, for those of you who are alumni or student leaders, please put alumni or SL before your full name. And for those of you who don't have their full name as your display name here on Zoom, please make sure that you have your full name so we could track your attendance better. And also, just to remind you guys again, when you are answering the workbook and survey form, please ensure that you are putting the right information there, just so we can make sure that your answer is considered for that. Again, this is cohort 15, level 1, and the facilitator is going to be Bryson McCauley. So far, I think we still have a couple of participants who haven't answered the poll. So just give us a heads up, Bryson, if you want to um, end the poll or share the results. Okay.
Absolutely. About another minute. We're almost there. If everybody can, if you haven't answered yet, to please provide your answer. I see staying consistent is the biggest one. Okay. $20. Okay, so if you have an answer and you still want to provide an answer, I ask that you please put it in the chat. But we're gonna round this off, and we see by far staying consistent is most people's issue. I would say for me, it's like avoiding distractions. As hyper focused as I am, I got so much going on within the filmmaking, podcasting, author, speaking engagements, all these things. But yet and still, I'm still a human being. We out here in a free world to where it's stuff coming at us every which way, whether it's from family, friends, our phones, social media, TV, like whatever. There's so many things grabbing at our attention that some things just slip through the cracks. And it's like avoiding distraction become the biggest struggle. Even if I become successful at it, it still becomes an issue at times. So that would be my answer. But I see most people say staying consistent, and I can definitely understand that and see that. Nobody picked believing they can change because why would you be in this program if you believe you couldn't change? So that's great. Nobody picked that one. So let's move on. Great to see you all again. Will or Chris, whoever's controlling. Oh, Will. Okay, so strength, train your brain, self control. Next slide. Last week we covered leadership is everyday influence, not just a title. Explore different leadership styles, identify traits that matter most to you. Small actions can inspire and guide others. This week, our learning objectives are discover how identity shapes self control and why aligning with your values builds discipline that lasts. Learn how to strengthen your willpower through small daily habits that turn effort into automatic behavior, and understand the power of emotional self regulation and how calm responses create confidence, trust, and inner strength. Next slide. Okay, so the title of this slide is Self Control Begins with Who You Want to Be. And, you know, I believe you all are young adults who are able to like pick what from what on what makes sense to you and what you identify with. I'm just giving you my personal perspective. You know, I believe it actually begins with self-awareness. You know what I'm saying? Like right below that say self-control starts with identity. So I believe it starts with who you are and who you think you are now, and then who you want to be. It's sustained and refined based on who you think you want to be going forward from that point on, you know. But when it comes to self control, it's like your identity is the story you believe about who you are. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are who they are as a human being, but your identity becomes the story about what you tell yourself, like who you identify as. You know, and self control is the ability to make choices that match that identity, you know, especially when it's hard. And people often act in alignment with the identity that they're claiming. You know what I'm saying? So, not the one that they wish they had, but the one that they believe they have. So, when it comes to identity, become self aware about like what it is that you actually identify with, you know, what triggers you, what interests you, like what empowers you and what makes you feel less than. Like identify all these things inside and out. And then once you have that self-awareness, you will naturally start to make choices that align with that because the power in our choices are directly tied to what we value in this world. You know, and why this should matter to you guys being young adults is that, you know, in high school and beyond that border, you are forming your sense of self right now. You know what I'm saying? And your choices about friends, school, social media, and peer pressure all come from who you believe you are right now. Whether it's I'm a leader, whether it's I'm the funny kid, whether it's I'm the athlete, whether it's I'm the kid who messes up, whether it's I'm the one who gets overlooked. You know, whatever identity you repeat becomes the blueprint you follow. So that's another reason why it's so important to be aware of these things. And another example, you can have two students. One says, I'm trying to stop procrastinating on whatever that may be. And then the second student says, I'm becoming a disciplined person. See, those are two different narratives, two different stories that they're telling themselves and that they're identifying with. And student two will win because the behavior supports the identity, not a temporary effort. You know, identity creates direction. Direction creates self-control. You know, so how you can use that today is asking yourself like who I'm becoming. You know, does this choice match the identity or the thing that I I want to identify with? You know, because identity makes decisions easier by eliminating the options that don't fit. So that's important to understand. And at the bottom says your values provide the why that sustains discipline when motivation fades. I believe the things that you value the most, not just all your values, but the things you value the most, it becomes easy to endure or persevere when you reach a roadblock or experience hardship because you understand your why factor. what is you doing this for? What is all said and done, what does it actually mean to you? Whether it's freedom, whether it's family, whether it's, legacy, like whatever. When you understand your values, then you can rearrange and prioritize your values so that the things you value the most becomes your why factor and your go-to when motivation start to fade from you. Next slide. Well, self-control begins with who you want to be. Once again, and if you don't already have it, I know for me, a way of building that was, like it says, keep small promises to yourself, saying that you're going to do something and then accomplish that little by little. You know, I can't say that's me though, because I always try to shoot for the moon, you know, and I'm either going to miss big or I'm going to hit big. That's just me. But like it says, keep small promises to yourself to build self trust and confidence. And accomplishing anything helped me build confidence. I could say that much, just to accomplish anything, because for those of y'all that know my story, growing up in the streets and stuff like that, like you take so many losses, and that's the power of the brain. Perception wise, you think you're winning, with the praise and affirmation that you receive from your peers, but you're taking losses every step of the way, financially, even as a human being, your humanity, like everything up until the physical part when I got sent away. So how does a person actually trust himself to accomplish anything when all your life you've been taking losses? That's been my story. But so to accomplish anything, whether it's like completing a whole book, whether it's like completing a financial goal, whether it's like abstaining and keeping away from a particular substance for so long, like all these, just accomplishing these things build self-trust within myself and made me more confident that if I can do that, I could do much more. And that's what any one of you guys, like, just finding little or big things, whatever, to accomplish can help you trust yourself even more. And just for me, like it says right here, visualizing my future. My nickname is Visionary. Like I'm all about visions, and beginning with the end in mind and working my way backwards. And when you visualize your future, sometimes that can get you through the moment when the moment doesn't seem pleasant or desirable at the time. Just dreaming about or imagining how things is going to be if you just keep going can get you through that. So that's powerful. Next slide. Oh, this is an online workbook question. And I want you guys to take at least 90 seconds to answer this. If you are already the kind of person who always follows through, what's one habit that will reflect our identity? Okay, okay. We haven't heard from Sakura. Is that how you say your name?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Alright. So what I put for that was if I was already the kind of person who follows through, I would be probably more timely and motivated to complete tasks. And one habit that would reflect that identity would be like consistently finishing my work sooner than the due date and actually starting when I want to. Because sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to start at this time, and I end up like not starting until later.
Okay, okay. Great answer, thoughtful answer. Danny Luna.
I believe Danny is having mic issues, Bryson, so we have to call another student.
Okay, absolutely. Alicia Walker.
I feel like if I was the person who would always follow through, I think I would probably be the type of person who's like always on time because lately I would been really late lately. So I feel
Mm,
like a habit that would affect that is just going to bed early and like keeping away from any distractions.
okay, okay. And let's see, Lizette Martinez.
I feel like something that I would do is that I would probably put myself first, especially when I see that others are not putting in the same effort.
Okay, okay. And let's see, one more. Haley Montenegro. Did I say that right?
Yeah, I think one trait of like good following up skills, I think is like having good communication skills because typically like when we communicate well with like either like our peers or like a team, like I think that like encourages us to like take accountability and that like allows us to like follow up with certain tasks and stuff.
Mm. Oh, these are all great answers, man. I need to hear one more. Georgina, what you got?
Hi. So for this question, I specifically put that I would do things differently by taking any and all tasks step by step and allowing myself to see things from different perspectives. And one habit that would reflect that identity would be like journaling my achievements and failures to understand the areas where I can improve on.
Mm. Oh yeah, that's detailed. I know that one more needed to be heard right there. And for me, I would just say consistency. You know, like I said, if you already a person, the kind of person who always follows through, was one habit that will reflect that identity. So I would just say consistency for myself. Okay, so next slide. Okay, self control gets stronger with reps. So the obvious example would be exercise. You know, the more reps you do, the stronger you get. You know, the more resistance that you're able to endure, the more empowered you become. You know, and when you make something a daily practice, that's when your actions become habits. So that's the point we're trying to get to. Something actions that lead to the desired result that we want in the near future and beyond. And if you do that act enough times, it will become a habit. So even when you lose motivation, it's a habit. You still just do it because it's in you and it's something that you naturally do. That's what a habit means, you know. And when you have that discipline lasts longer when your actions match what you truly care about, like the previous slide that we just went over when we talked about values, because values equal what you believe is important. You know, discipline equals the daily proof that you actually believe it. You know, so when values and actions match, discipline feels natural after a while. When they don't match, discipline feels like a fight. And you always struggling with yourself when you get out of the bed to want to do something or not do something. So, why this should matter for you guys is that, you know, many young adults struggle not because they are lazy, but because they're living by somebody else's expectations. So you have to align with your truth and what you want to do and what your desired outcome is from you, not no one else. You know, it could be some people is their parents' pressure, social media pressure, school pressure, peer pressure, like all these pressures. But when you choose actions based on your values, discipline becomes self-driven instead of forced. So I want us all to like focus on that. And like I said, it's built in everyday choices. You got to make it a daily habit, a daily habit. Next slide. Self-control gets stronger with reps. All right, this is pretty much like a part two of the last one, training your self-control muscle. And that's what we're trying to get to. Like anything you do repeatedly, like you're strengthening that within yourself. And anything you do is going to put you up against some type of resistance. And the more you do it, the more you're able to take whatever that pressure or pain is. And the more you're able to take, your body gets used to that level of opposition and can withstand that, you know, and that's the point that you want to get to, you know. uh Willpower is like it's not a magic burst of motivation, it's a muscle. Small habits equal daily reps for that muscle. So create those daily habits, and when repeated, they become automatic, you know, meaning that they no longer drain your mental energy. So young adults, you know, and well, all of us, I'm gonna with this statement, all of us out here in the free world is surrounded by distractions, phones, group chats, TikTok, video games, pressure to look busy but not actually work. Like we often try to rely on willpower alone and it fails. Small habits simplify life and reduce the number of decisions that we have to make, freeing up mental energy for school, goals, and confidence. So, next slide. Oh, another online workbook. But this one, we're going to go into breakout rooms, though. So, what's one small challenge you tend to avoid? What would it look like to use that moment to build your self control, not to impress others, to build yourself? Oh, not impress others, but to build yourself. We're going to go into breakout rooms now.
Hi, Jason, Danny, are you experiencing any issues with the breakout room invite? Hi, Danny.
Danny has mic audio issues.
Okay.
Well, I'm not sure if we
Okay, okay.
can hear you.
No worries, no worries.
Okay, okay. A lot of great answers, a lot of thoughtful answers, a lot of honest answers. I hope we take this awareness and, you know, honest insight about ourselves and actually do something about it from this point on. Next slide. Emotional self control is quiet strength. hardest self-control battles are emotion. Oh man, that's like more than true. You know, uh, emotional self-regulation. If you guys haven't actually thought about that term before, is the ability to manage your reactions when you feel angry or embarrassed or stressed or even triggered. And I had none of that growing up. Everybody I looked to openly like reacted to everything with violence and aggression. So, and then the way I interpreted my experience, I ain't gonna say my experience taught me that, but the way I interpreted my experience is that emotions get you hurt. Emotions get you killed. You can't be emotional. Like, it's not gonna get you nowhere. It's only in a lot of unpleasant situations. But having the insight that I have now, I realize that everybody's emotional. There's no way not to be emotional. Like if you grow up angry all the time, that's an emotion, and when you don't have no control over your emotions, you become sensitive. The littlest thing can trigger you, and cause you to explode. So it's important to know these things. Like it's not about being emotionless, it's about being in control instead of being controlled. That's where the point that if we're not there yet, we're trying to get to, and why this should matter for you guys is that, in high school and beyond, it's an emotional battlefield. Me looking back in hindsight, the rumors that go around, friend drama, relationship stuff, insecurity, comparing yourself, academic pressure, family stress, like all these things, it's strong emotions are normal. That's one thing that we need to come to grips with. But uncontrolled emotions can lead to bad decisions. And I'm living proof of that. I got 30-year prison sentence at 18 years old and did 15 of that. So fights, impulsive behavior, regret, like we have to understand that being calm is not a weakness, it's a strategy. And life is played from the neck up. It's a thinking person's game, not physical. So an example can be someone insults someone else at school. All right. Instead of reacting instantly, you take a breath, you pause, you evaluate the situation and choose the response that matches your identity, who you are, who you're trying to become. You know, that pause becomes your power. I never had a pause ever. I was just on go. So I know now that that's where the real power is at, to be able to pause, give yourself time, because at the end of the day, we're trying to come out on top. Not being violent, but I'm just saying any situation you find yourself in, the main thing is to achieve a desired outcome, to come out on top. So a way to do that is to pause, and just one more example, a student may break up with somebody to keep it PG-13. Instead of acting out, they journal or take a walk, you know, giving themselves space to feel without spiraling out of control. That strategy, you know, emotional maturity earns respect and self-trust. So just keep that in mind. Next slide. Oh, and these are tactics that you can use. Emotional self-control is quiet strength. Square breathing. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold again, and then do that as a daily practice. Because as a human being, like it's stuff that we don't fully understand that's at work right now when we're inhaling oxygen, when gravity keep our feet planted on the ground, are these blood cells flowing through our body, like, and that's why when you truly take it seriously and you practice these breathing techniques before you are met with any challenge or during any challenge, that it can bring you back to having a sound mind and be able to think clearly. Like it's something scientific going on, and that's why this works. So I encourage everybody to like practice that. And if it works for you, continue that. Make it a daily practice. you know, whether it's in private or public. Do what work for you and what allows you to be on top at the end of the day. Next slide. Emotional self-control, strategies to strengthen emotional self-control, reframe challenges. This is a challenge, not a threat. Oh yeah, this taps into perception, because a lot of things that we think is a lot of times isn't. It's all based on our interpretation of that experience, like I just spoke about just recently. A lot of times not the experience is how we interpret that, and how we interpret it is filtered through what we went through in life, our past experiences. And right now we're trying to develop discernment skills, which is the ability to tell what from what. So if you can reframe the challenge from, like it says, this is not a challenge, this is a threat, or this is not a threat, this is an opportunity to make me better. If you tell yourself that, that completely changes the narrative. Like, this is really not a threat. This is an opportunity to make me better as a human being. So I'm gonna respond in a way that puts me on a higher road. You know what I'm saying? That elevates me as a person. If they want to still stoop low, let them stoop low. But this is not about nobody else but you becoming better and developing as a human being, navigating this world on the highest level possible. So being able to name your emotions, once again, identify them, know that when I usually call these warning signs, when somebody makes you mad, being able to say like, oh, okay, I'm angry. Or when you're scared, like I'm afraid, or I'm nervous, which is two different things depending on the situation. Being able to identify, then you will know how to like restructure the things to your benefit. So next slide. Oh, another online workbook question. We will not go into breakout rooms. I just want you to take 90 seconds once again to answer what emotion tends to throw you off course. What could you try? A pause, a breath, a different thought to respond better next time. Okay, let's do it. Destiny, what you got for us? Destiny Marcato. Mercado.
I would say when I get too anxious, that would throw me off course. Um, what could you try and a pause? Usually when that happens for me, I usually take a deep breath like about 5 times, and then that would just help me get back to my regular state.
Absolutely. Megan, go, man.
The emotion that tends to throw me off course would be anxiety, because it like leads to me having a difficult time concentrating and I like feel myself hesitating more. So I could try to take a pause to like take the time to really like make a rational decision rather than an emotional one.
Sure, absolutely. Irma and Brogio.
A emotion that tends to throw me off would probably be like anger, and like something that I could try to like do better to respond better would probably be like taking deep breaths and just like thinking over like that emotion and like trying to get over it.
Okay. Last one. Timothy.
Um, I think one emotion that tends to throw me off course is like shock. So like when I see something I'm not expecting, or just like even just like talking to someone and then they just say something like really just like out of pocket or like I wasn't expecting. I think that really tends me to like throw me off. I think definitely like just like taking a breath and then just like thinking about it could definitely help me respond better next time.
Okay, yeah, hold on. Let me get one more here. Samuel M, what's going on?
For me, I put is frustration, and every time I feel it, I could pause for a moment to take a deep breath and rewind and remind myself that I don't have to react right away, and that would help me like stay calmer and make better choices.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's great. That's great. And anybody else wants to go before we slide off? Maybe Haley. Oh no, Haley went already? Okay. Priscilla?
An emotion that tends to throw me off course is being angry. And I can try like taking a few breathers and thinking about like why I'm angry and how I can kind of like stop being angry and think about something else.
Absolutely. All great answers. Amazing. Next slide. Okay. Is this you, Will or Chris, or is this me?
Yeah, that's for you, Bryson, for
Okay.
next class. Yeah.
So for next class, we'll be talking about implementations, what you do when you've learned, reflect on progress and define who you want to become, commit to habits, mindset, and goals, turn learning into lasting change. Next slide.
Okay. For this one, Bryson, instead of 90 seconds, I will be giving the students about 5 minutes maximum for this one to just finish off their workbook and survey. But for those of you who has finished their workbook and survey, please raise your virtual hand just so I could detect if almost everyone's done with that one. So we could go ahead with the announcements. Okay. I'll be giving a couple of minutes for this one. I think not everyone's done yet. Okay, so yeah, I think we have enough students who have done or finished their workbook and survey. If it's okay with you, Bryson, is it okay if I call on at least 2 to 3 students just to share their like yeah, key learnings for this one? So yeah, I really want to hear it from someone right now to just share what their key learnings are from this workshop. I would like to call on Catherine. I really want to hear your kind of like key learning from this workshop.
I think my key learnings from this workshop are just to try not to be so judgmental on yourself. Like for the workbook question on like small challenges that you tend to avoid, I think in order to grow, you should try to put yourself out there and just focus on your self growth instead of what others like how they would perceive yourself. And I know like feelings of anxiousness and nervousness can get in the way, but I think like through taking like deep breaths or taking a pause and just trying to collect yourself at the moment and thinking of maybe like your plans and backup plans and your thought process could really help.
Thank you so much for that one, Catherine. Actually, yeah, it was mentioned earlier that you really have to step outside your comfort zone, be uncomfortable for you to grow. So, yeah, that's a really great answer. I'll go ahead and just pick someone else, maybe 2 more students, since we still have a couple of minutes for this one. I really want to hear it from the people who have finished their survey and workbook. How about Lauren? Asuna? I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name.
I feel like a key learning from this workshop was learning like even though like we're pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone, like we still get nervous. So I feel like I learned different ways how to like maintain like my cool. So like by taking deep breaths and keeping a positive attitude.
Thank you so much for that one, Lauren. Yeah, that's exactly part of what Bryson has mentioned. It's also not really just the emotions that you're feeling, but it's how you act upon those emotions. That's very important. Yeah, I'll go ahead and just choose one last person, and then we're just gonna go with the announcements. After that one, maybe someone who has finished their workbook as well. Um, who hasn't answered? I will be calling you. How about Tiffany Ontiveros?
I think I learned like the rewording, like how you feel like your challenges. I think that like really helps how like you'll face them and react to them, and I like that. It like helps you control your emotions and like how you react to situations that are really difficult, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much for that one, Tiffany. Yeah, it's just the same with everything that was mentioned by Bryson as well. Again, how you act upon your emotions is what matters. So it's totally valid for you to feel any emotions that you're feeling. It's just your actions that follow that emotion. So yeah, thank you guys so much for that one, and thank you so much, Bryson, for such a very fruitful workshop for today. So let me go ahead and just go with the announcements very quickly. Again, for those of you who have finished your workbook and survey, I do really hope that you get to input the right information. Again, just to kind of remind everyone, if you do input the incorrect information for the workbook and survey, it might not be considered. So please double check with that one. If you are kind of like debating that you might have inputted the wrong information, you could go ahead and just inform us, and then maybe we could go and allow you to resubmit. And also for that one, just an additional announcement, you can earn additional points. So you can earn up to 2 points if you are going to join the Ignite Speaker Series. The Ignite will be on November 17th between 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And then our RSVP deadline for this one is on the 14th of November by 5 p.m. So if you are interested to join this one, please follow follow the RSVP link that Chris will be sending via chat. Our speaker for this one is Eric Huberman. And then also for any announcements or any updates regarding the workshop or regarding any program information, you can go ahead and visit the student guide website. So for the student guide website link, that will be sent via chat as well from Chris. And also, if you do have any concerns or questions, maybe you do have some technical issues that you've encountered continuously in the previous weeks as well, or maybe you do have any questions regarding your points or anything like that, maybe about any events that we're going to hold, please submit a student help form as well. We do want to remind you guys, we do respond to the student help form between Mondays to Fridays. So if any chance you are kind of submitting the student help form during the weekends like Saturday and Sunday, we might not be able or will not be able to respond to your concerns, but please do be patient. We are going to respond to that one Mondays onwards. And then, yeah, the link for that one is also in the chat below. Chris will be sending that one. And also, you guys, just reminding you, we do have some social media accounts that you can go ahead and visit and follow. For our Instagram, Chris will be sending the link for that one. Sometimes we do post students or maybe like any types of events that we have, we will be posting any updates on that one or highlights there. So you might see your faces and you could go ahead and just share that on your respective social media accounts. So that would be great. And then we also have a LinkedIn for you champions as well. You can go ahead and visit those social media accounts. Chris will be sending that one via chat. And yeah, if you do have any additional concerns or questions that you want to have addressed as soon as possible, you can go ahead and stay in the Zoom meeting, and then Chris and I will be trying to respond to those concerns. But yeah, if you don't have any more questions or concerns, I do want to thank again Bryson for such an amazing class, and I want to thank every single one of you guys who participated. We do really appreciate every single one of you. So yeah, once you get to leave the Zoom meeting, please don't forget to leave out your emojis and say thank you to Bryson as well for such a wonderful lesson. You could go ahead and just turn on your mics and say thank you,
Thank you, thank
Bryson.
you, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Y'all have a good one.
Thank you, everyone. Have a
Okay.
nice evening.
Have a great night. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for all the chats. Okay. Don't leave your leave your emojis. Thank you, guys. Okay. Okay, so I think you guys, I'm not sure with Natalie or Jose if they have any questions. But yeah, go ahead, Catherine. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just had a comment. I knew like during the beginning of the alumni training that you told us to say if there were any particular students that stood out to us that like did well. I think to out of like all the breakout rooms I've done, I think specifically the student I can't pronounce his name, Andrew Vila. I think he like spoke a lot, like even after like his turn to speak, like that stood out to me. Because usually students they say their idea and then they stop. And then but even after I gave feedback, he spoke again, and that stood out to me. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, actually, thank you so much for that one, Catherine. Thank you so much for taking note of that one. Yeah, we will be indicating that one in this one, the breakout room performances. Thank you so much for remembering that one, Catherine.
Yeah.
But is there anything else that you wanna kind of like point out as well?
I think that's it. Just personally for breakout rooms though, I think just a little more time would be helpful.
Yeah,
But I know like our like program time is like short, so I
yeah.
understand.
No
Yeah.
worries. Yeah, actually we will be taking note of that one. And yeah, thank you so much for that one, Catherine.
Yeah, that's it. Anyways, bye. I'll see you
Bye.
tomorrow if you're at the banning cohort. I'll be there.
Thank you.
Yes,
Have a great night,
Catherine. Have a great
Catherine.
night.
Bye.
Bye. Hi, Lizette. Do you have any questions or concerns? Yeah, I think Natalie, Jose, and Lizette are, yeah, experiencing some technical issues. So let me remove you guys first. Okay.